Imagine this. One morning in late November 2025, a single Fastjet Embraer 145 lifts off from Harare's Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport. Nothing unusual at first glance. Just another regional hop. But this flight, FN 8443, is quietly doing something no scheduled passenger airline has done in over 40 years. It is flying north, non-stop, all the way to Cairo. Not via Nairobi, not via Addis, not via Johannesburg. Direct. Harare to Cairo. 3,912 kilometers across the heart of Africa in one leap. And every seat is full. This is the flight the continent has been waiting for without even knowing it. Let me take you inside that cabin and across that sky. The captain's voice crackles over the PA. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Fastjet Flight 443 with service to Cairo International Airport. A ripple of surprise moves through the passengers. Did he just say Cairo? From Harare? In one go? Yes, he did. The safety video plays, but almost nobody watches. People are pulling out phones, filming the takeoff roll, whispering to neighbors. A Zimbabwean businessman in 12A turns to the Egyptian student in 12B. Is this real? She laughs. I booked it thinking it was a typo. The aircraft climbs out over the golden koppies of Mashonaland. Lake Kariba glints below. Then the green carpet of Zambia. The vast emptiness of South Sudan appears like a forgotten planet. No stop. No refuel. No changing planes in the middle of the night. Just one boarding pass. One airline. One continent finally acting like one sky. This flight is the first scheduled direct link between Southern Africa and North Africa since South African Airways abandoned the route in the 1980s. Think about that for a second. For 4 decades, if you wanted to fly from Zimbabwe to Egypt, you had to go via the Middle East or via Europe. Sometimes both. A journey that should take 5 hours became 15, 20, even 30 hours with layovers in Dubai, Doha, Frankfurt, Istanbul. You paid more to fly halfway around the world just to come back to the same continent. Airlines called it network efficiency. Africans called it nonsense. But on this Tuesday morning, Fastjet just tore up the old map. How did this even happen? Let's rewind a few months. In July 2025, the single African air transport market, SAATM, finally started showing teeth. 25 countries had actually implemented the Yamoussoukro decision freedoms. Not just signed, implemented. Zimbabwe and Egypt were among them. Fastjet, the low-cost carrier born in Tanzania, reborn in Zimbabwe, saw the gap. They already had the aircraft. Embraer 145s with extra fuel tanks originally fitted for the long Harare-Johannesburg-Cape Town legs. They already had the traffic rights. They already had the passengers. Zimbabweans studying in Egypt. Egyptians investing in Victoria Falls tourism. Congolese traders routing through both hubs. Miners, diplomats, football fans, families. All of them stuck in the old routing torture. So Fastjet filed the route. Quietly. No press release. No ribbon cutting. Just a slot request at Cairo Terminal 2 and a new line in the booking engine. Within 48 hours the first flights were sold out. Within a week they added a second frequency. Within a month they were talking about upgrading to an A319. The numbers are staggering when you look closely. Previous best connection, Harare Addis Cairo on Ethiopian, 9 hours 45 minutes if everything aligned. Or Harare Dubai Cairo on Emirates, 16 hours. Price? Never less than $900 return. Fastjet's inaugural fare? $289 one way. Yes, you heard that right. $289. Students started crying at the check-in counter. Literal tears. One grandmother told the ground staff she could now visit her grandson in Alexandria without selling a cow. That actually happened. On board, the crew are buzzing. The purser, a Zimbabwean woman named Ruto, walks the aisle like she's hosting a national celebration. She hands out small flags, half Zimbabwe, half Egypt. Passengers start taking selfies. Someone starts singing Ishkambora Africa, and the whole cabin joins in. An Egyptian man in the back rows pulls out an oud and strums along. By the time they cross the equator, strangers are exchanging numbers, planning meetups in Zamalek, promising to host each other in Borrowdale. This is more than a flight. This is a reunion. Over Sudan, the captain comes back on. We are now flying over Khartoum, a city that once connected Africa by air when the rest of the world was still figuring out propellers. Silence. Then applause. They descend through the North African haze. The pyramids appear on the left side, tiny brown triangles against the desert. On the right side, the Nile snakes like a silver vein. Both sides of the aircraft erupt. People are standing, filming, shouting. The Egyptian student from 12B is openly weeping. The businessman from 12A has his fist clenched in victory. Touchdown is smooth. Cairo ground control welcomes them in Arabic, then switches to perfect English. Fastjet 443, welcome to Africa's northern gateway. You have made history. The cabin explodes. When the door opens, the jet bridge is lined with Egyptian tourism officials who weren't even told this was coming. They brought flowers anyway. Someone starts chanting Africa Unite and it spreads. Customs officers fast-track the entire flight. By the time the last passenger leaves the airport, the video has already gone viral. Hashtag Harare to Cairo direct trends across the continent within an hour. Memes flood WhatsApp groups. One shows the old route via Dubai with the caption "How Europeans thought Africans should travel." The other shows the new straight line with "How Africans actually travel." You know which one wins. African Aviation Twitter, which is normally a war zone of complaints, becomes a love fest for 48 hours. Ethiopian Airlines posts a classy congratulatory message. Kenya Airways posts a heart emoji. South African Airways posts nothing, which says everything. Fastjet's share price jumps 18% in Johannesburg. The CEO does one interview and says only 8 words. We just drew a straight line. That's all. And that should be the end of the story. A beautiful, quiet, efficient African success story. But this is Africa. So of course the rumors start. And now we enter the second half, where everything gets deliciously murky. Word begins circulating in Harare Aviation WhatsApp groups that this wasn't just Fastjet's idea. That someone very high up in Zimbabwe pushed for it. That a certain powerful office wanted a direct link to Cairo before the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. That fuel was made available at Victoria Falls at prices nobody is quoting publicly. That Egypt waived landing fees for the first 6 months. That the route is being subsidized. That it's not. That the aircraft is actually leased from a mysterious South African lessor who is fronting for bigger players. That the inaugural passengers included intelligence officers from 3 countries checking each other out. That the flight will be cancelled by March. That it will be upgraded to a 320 by March. That Fastjet is about to announce Lusaka Cairo, Bulawayo Cairo, Maputo Cairo. That Fastjet is secretly negotiating with Egypt Air to codeshare and kill the route themselves. That Egypt Air is furious and about to block terminal access. That the Egyptians love it and want to bring back the old United Arab Republic dream, this time with Harare instead of Damascus. That the route only works because both countries quietly ignore the sanctions on Zimbabwean aviation spare parts. That the Embraer's extra tanks were installed in Nairobi under the table. That the flight crew got brand new passports the week before. That one of the cabin crew is dating a presidential daughter. That none of this is true. That all of it is true. That the Chinese are bankrolling it to secure lithium routes. That the Emiratis are sabotaging it to protect their hub. That Elon Musk tweeted finally and nobody knows why. That the route is losing $40,000 per flight. That it's making $60,000 per flight. That Fastjet CEO was seen leaving State House at 2 a.m. That he was just dropping off lost luggage. That Cairo is about to announce direct flights to Victoria Falls using the same aircraft wet leased back. That the whole thing is a giant bubble and will pop when the first technical delay hits Khartoum airspace with no alternate. That it's the most robust route on the network because nobody dares let it fail. That passengers are smuggling gold in the overhead bins. That passengers are smuggling nothing except hope. That the real reason the flight exists is because two Air Force generals, one Zimbabwean, one Egyptian, became friends at a course in China and said why not? That the real reason is pure market demand and nothing else. That both are true. That neither is true. That the flight will still be operating in 10 years with a 220S painted in Pan-African colors. That the flight will be a footnote by June. That Africa is finally connecting itself. That Africa is still Africa. And maybe, just maybe, both can be true at the same time. Because when the second flight took off the next day, it was full again. And the third. And the fourth. And the WhatsApp rumors kept flying faster than the plane. But the plane kept flying anyway. Straight line. No detour. Harare to Cairo. Cairo to Harare. 2 cities. 1 continent. 1 sky. Maybe it's historic. Maybe it's just Tuesday. Either way, the seats are full. And for now, that's all that matters.